Alrighty, we are live. I'm just going to take 1 second to go and check my phone to make sure that this is working and sounding all a-okay, because what I don't want to do is start chatting away and bring in the amazing guest that I have today and realize that it's not working. So just bear with me 1 sec. Alrighty, we are, and it's working. Perfect. I will be viewing myself. If you are tuning in on the replay, thanks so much for tuning in on the replay. Be sure to drop a hashtag replay, as you always do, to let me know that you have tuned in. So I think it's always nice to hear of the people that are coming in on the replay, as well as the people that are joining us live. I can see people that are starting to come in, which is very exciting. As you know, we launched the podcast on Friday. Friday was the first episode that we went live, and we had loads of you guys on. We did a giveaway. And we're sending Facebook merchandise to one of the people that subscribed, which is very, very cool. And I appreciate you for jumping on that live stream with me on Friday and staying on till Friday evening. And this evening, I'm super excited about this. Honestly, I'm very excited about the conversation that I'm about to have. And you should be excited too. You should be excited too. Before I jump into the podcast, though, I just want to do a quick shout out for the 5-day funnel building challenge that I'm running, starting the 7th of September, where every single day for 5 days, starting Monday, the 7th of September, we're going to be teaching you how to build a funnel and the frameworks that behind the funnel, so you can start generating more leads and more customers predictably and consistently. So instead of relying on these kind of inconsistent lead generation methods, networking events, referrals, word of mouth, we're getting a system in place where you can generate more leads and more customers predictably. So if you're interested in learning that, you're interested in joining the 5-day challenge, all you have to do is one thing. Just head over to my Facebook page or my website, wherever it is, and you will see a large pop-up for the 5-day challenge, or you can just go to this link that I'm going to pop on the screen right now. That's probably easier, right? Let me type it out. I put the HTTPS in there so nobody gets that bit wrong. Boom. It didn't work. Why is it not working? Maybe because I need to take where am I going? Let's take this bit off and then play this banner. Is there a banner on my screen? There is a banner on my screen. There is. Fab. I had the window minimized. So head over to that link and sign up to the 5-day challenge. We had 420 members go through the last one in June. It was absolutely epic. We have about 150 or so people signed up to this one. So go to that link right now and get signed up. And we are going to get started with the podcast. Oh, I'm excited about this. Okay, let's hit record. Let's do this show. Hey, you are listening to the Funnels and Growth Show. My name is Gavin Bell, and I've discovered a little bit of a problem. You know, too many entrepreneurs are great at what they do, but they never see true growth. You know, all too often they rely on luck, hustle, and hope to grow, which, as you can probably guess, is not the best marketing strategy. So in this show, I aim to uncover the secrets around creating a marketing system that allows you to build your audience, generate more leads, and acquire customers at a profit. Now, on today's show, we have not just one Lewis, but two Lewises. You know, these two guys that are coming on the show, a big inspiration to me in how I came to create this show, this new relaunch of the podcast, because they have an incredible podcast called Content is Profit. And they've spent the last 4 years learning the strategies and the techniques from some of the top marketers in the world on how to create content that turns into profit. They've worked with the likes of Orange Theory, Red Bull, Think Different Theory, and many, many more. And what they do is they work with long-form content creators, so your YouTubers, your podcasters, and they turn that longer form content into smaller, value-packed, bite-sized assets that allows that people to then promote their message out to more and more people. It's a huge topic. It's something that is, if you listen to the live stream or the first episode of this podcast, the relaunch, is something that I spoke about massively. It's an area where I went really, really wrong. And so I'm so excited to bring these two guys to the show. So please, everybody, welcome Lewis and Lewis.
Let's go. What's up?
We're so excited. Thank you, Gabby, man. Thank you so much for that intro.
Yes, man.
Thank
It's an
you.
honor to be here on your show, man. This is exciting.
This is amazing because you guys had me on your show, and now when I was looking at, I want to relaunch the podcast. I want to create something special. I was like, where can I go to seek inspiration? And obviously, going to like people's shows that I've been on and enjoyed being a guest on, and you guys were top of the list in terms of
like, wow, thank you.
Thank you.
Guest experience, but also the way that you just create your show is, I think, is like spectacular. So, yeah, welcome to the show. I'm
Appreciate it, man.
delighted to chat with you, and I always enjoy our conversations. So, what better way to do it than do it live and to do it over?
That's right, man.
on
We
podcast?
that way we cannot fake our accents. They have to come out right.
That is it. Well, what I want to do, because obviously we're limited to time, I want to get straight into the serious topics, the serious conversations. So, I know you're both into football or soccer.
No, call it football.
Yeah,
Call
football.
it football.
Yeah, the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. But we're gonna have people listening in the United States, and they're gonna go, these guys are into American football. No, into soccer, football.
Right.
So I want to ask you, growing up, who
Mhm.
was the better player?
That's
Definitely Fonzie.
a tough question.
That's a quick answer for me, man.
That's
Come
a
on.
quick answer. Yeah,
Take the compliment.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I would say my brother had the best experiences around soccer. He at 15 he went and played in Europe. He played in Italy, in Spain. So me personally, I always looked up to him, and I was like, I want to be like my brother.
Ah,
And I mean, eventually we both made it to the US. And I think I made it a little farther than him here in the US.
yes.
So, it evens out. It evens out.
Turns out. The thing is, like, he was a natural skilled one. So, I was a little fat kid that had to like run extra sprints every single practice. While Fonzie here is super fit, and he's like, I just score goals because I know how to score goals. And, that's it. So I think that's the difference.
Yeah, I was a little lazy by nature. And my dad used to throw me rocks so I would run. He's like, run, go get the ball, and start throwing rocks at me. I was like, oh, no.
We still love him. We still love him. That story's on the episode. So,
Yeah.
we still love him. Thank you, Dad.
That is an awesome tactic. My brother is like my best friend, and he just had a baby yesterday. Actually,
Yes.
Nice.
Congrats.
Thank you. It's super, super exciting, and it's kind of funny. The first thing I thought of is, I can't wait to an Aberdeen strip, and hopefully try and get her running down the wing at Pittodrie, which is the Aberdeen Football Stadium,
Ooh.
and yeah, just so was there a rivalry between you two growing up, or were you like we're the same five-side team, we're gonna get?
Oh, no, yeah. The rivalry 100%. Like I am the typical, I'm the younger brother. So I'm the typical little brother that is like, I'm going to do everything that is against you, So
Absolutely.
he was a supporter of Barcelona. He is
He's
still a supporter of
big one,
Barcelona.
yeah.
So obviously me naturally as a 3-year younger brother, I'm like, you know what, I need to go for the biggest rival of Barcelona. So I started supporting Real Madrid. And at the point, I'm gonna be honest, like I didn't watch much soccer, football. I would just play it, but I would support Real Madrid just because I was against my brother.
Yeah.
But it wasn't actually until a game between Barcelona and Arsenal from London, England, that I became a fan of Arsenal. That was in like 2005. And since that day on, I'm a crazy Arsenal fan.
They lost that game, so I don't understand why you made that choice.
I mean, it might have been, like my fandom for Arsenal might have grown out of my hatred for Barcelona.
Yeah.
Who knows?
It's funny because as far as like fans, yes, there's rivalry, but when we were playing, we never got to play really against each other because like our age difference, we're about 3 years apart. But it was funny once I went to college, we actually spent like maybe a couple seasons playing together. And the funny part was like we were in sync with a lot of things.
Yeah.
And we really enjoy playing together. And there's like that connection that is, that brotherly connection that now translates also into the business side, which has been amazing too.
Yeah. So you're both from Venezuela, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. And So what for this show, I'll call you Lewis and I'll call you Fonzie, just so
Sounds
we know who
good.
we're talking to. So
Perfect.
you're gonna have to correct me, Lewis or Fonzie. Which one of you has lived in Venezuela, Italy, Spain, and now the States?
Wait, so we both. So I mean, we both
Or
lived in.
have you both been to all those places?
Yeah. Well, so
Yeah, so Luis, me,
Yeah.
right? I was in Venezuela till I was like 15. Then I migrated to Italy to play for
Yeah.
a full year there. Went back home to Venezuela for a couple. Then went back to Spain, play there, and then went back to Venezuela, and then again to the States. So I've been a little bit all over the place. You know, Fonzie's adventure was a little bit more streamlined, right? So he
Yeah.
was in Venezuela. He had a couple opportunities here and there from summer traveling, but then he came directly to the States about what, 9 years ago now?
yeah, 2011.
2011.
I just like graduated high school at that point, and I was like, you know what? It's about time. It's about time to jump, leave home, be independent. And I managed to get a scholarship playing soccer here in the U.S. You know,
Yeah.
same as my brother. And at first we were actually in different states, so we're living pretty far. I attribute to my brother the fact that like he is so good at keeping relationships, at staying in contact with people. And actually, the other day I was looking at my email and I found like really old emails that he would send me, checking on me when I was here in the States. And me being the typical little brother would be like, "Oh yeah, I'm good, thank you, bye." And then I would never answer, right? And he was always the one calling me, checking up on me and stuff like that.
He still does that now with the company. Same thing, like every morning, like, "Hey, dude, what's up? How you doing?" And no answer. So it doesn't change.
That's so funny. So you've both kind of, well, Lewis, you've traveled around a bit. Fonzie, you're kind of maybe more direct to the US, and now I presume you guys must live close to each other due to being on the podcast and things.
Yeah, I mean, if by living close you mean like a living room away, yeah, of course, man.
We're not roommates, too.
Yeah, we're actually roommates.
Are you? Awesome.
Yeah.
So you live together. Nice one. So how do you find the and it's quite interesting you've got that bond, from a football perspective. How would you find working together as brothers? Because I feel like some people will say, don't work with family, and then other people will say working with family is the best thing. So where do you guys sit on that?
So it's funny that you say that because we actually have both scenarios. We have some family members that were like, absolutely not. We would not work with you. And now, for us, I think it grew very organically too, as far as like how we started to work together.
No.
I was recently graduate. Fonzie came to Jacksonville, Florida, where we live. And we're like, dude, let's start something, right? And at the beginning, it was like, hey, what can we do different that will bring us some cash and have fun? And the idea at the end of the day is to bring our family together, right? We would love to bring our parents back. They're still in Venezuela, so that's a major drive. And I think because that drive is so big, we've been able to overcome a lot of things, right? We're both athletes. We both grew up as athletes, receiving a ton of feedback, right? When you play a sport at that level, right, there's a lot of things that will go wrong every single time, and but then you learn very quickly to overcome those objectives, so those obstacles, right? So then we brought that kind of like mentality and that philosophy on our day to day. Hey, it was not easy from day one. I'm gonna tell you that. I think over the last year has been the most growth that we've experienced, not just in the business but personally as well. So that's helped a ton. But also, we also act in very different ways. Fonzie here is the explorer, the creative one, right? He always like lives in this amazing world and brings these awesome ideas. And on my end, I kind of grab those ideas and kind of shape them into something that we can actually execute today. So that also helps a ton in the relationship, right? And understanding that from the very beginning was a big time, and we're still understanding that. It's a journey, right?
Yeah.
So it's been a fun experience for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like, going back, we actually didn't start like hanging out that much until I was like 15, 16. Before that, that was all fighting. But at that moment, it's kind of when we started like getting a little close and all that. And then when we came here to the US, we already had that relationship, like good brotherly relationship. But actually the first 3 years of the business, we wouldn't even dare probably to call it a business. It was more like a freelancing gig, right? And I mean, he had his job and I was trying to like do our thing, here and there. When I needed his help, I'll be like, hey, Luis Daniel, you want to come here and help me out and stuff like that. But it wasn't actually, like a full time, both of us in the office, doing some work. But I think what that did was kind of like helped us know each other a little bit in better ways, right? And the growth that we've experienced by knowing people, such as you and other amazing entrepreneurs, have kind of like the mindset aspect of, I'm not responsible. Like, I love my brother, but I'm not responsible on how he feels, like how I want him to feel, right?
Exactly.
So I act my way, obviously, like morally, ethically within the business and everything, and he does the same, right? And if something is not connecting, like, we talk it out. At the end of the day, communication is key. And I feel like a lot of people that are like, don't work with family, is because sometimes they don't have that line of communication that is that open.
Yeah. So they're maybe too concerned about damaging relationships rather than having the conversations they need to have.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I want to dive into that personal and business growth that you've had over the last year and equally in the years before that. What would you say is for both of you? What's the kind of number one what's the number one part of you personally that's grown over the last year, and how does that tie into your business growth? Is it something that happened due to the business growth? Is it something that happened due to overcoming obstacles with the business growing? What would those things be for each of you?
Interesting. You want to go first, or?
Absolutely.
when I say so you guys know, when we say like, do you want to go first, it's because we're trying to throw the other one under the bus. It's like, you go first while I think about my answer.
It's all good. There's a couple questions there, and everything, each one of them is very important. But I think we started seeing the growth first off when we started investing in ourselves, right? I don't think before that we saw the investment the way that we do it now. We saw it more as an expense, right? And that kept us from joining either different groups or different programs or different masterminds to elevate, right? Yeah. And yes, at first it came as a motivation to grow the business, for sure. Because we're trying to find solutions to different problems that we had inside of the business. But it was really challenging, right? Because the world is very noisy. So it's like, okay, who's that person that we're actually going to follow? So after that, it really became, we had a very specific event where we made a significant investment in one of these programs with money that we did not have, with money that we had to figure out how to do it, with money that we never, ever saw like that big amount in our lives, like in our bank accounts, right? And we're like, how are we going to make this happen, right? So we put ourselves in that situation where we had a sword, between, we call it between the sword and the wall, right? Like, that's it. You have to move, you have to execute, you have to do something really quickly to make sure that this happens. And for us was like, we got to figure out how to sell a bunch of stuff really quickly, provide a ton of value so we can actually pay for this thing, right? So it was very painful as far as like going after this, but we knew that was the thing that was going to move us forward. Now, from that experience, it has been massive growth because we understood by taking action, we started getting a ton of results. And then it's like this amazing loop that starts taking you up, right, into new opportunities, new relationships, new ideas, right, new execution. So through that, personal and business growth started to go together. And then with the launch of the show has been just incredible because we've been talking to a lot of people that, can be at our same level, can be a little below, can be very high up, and we've been learning a ton from them.
Yeah, it's kind of like that slight edge theory, that kind of like compounding effect where at first you don't really see much progress, right? But you're getting better, but you are also one step away from, falling down. And then all of a sudden, like, progress takes off.
Yeah.
And that was for us, and the first part of that curve is actually for us was like courses. Like, we started just investing in courses and learn a bunch of stuff, but it was a lot of like the tactics, which it's okay, it's good, but honestly, like, if you don't work, like, the tactics don't work either. And one of our favorite phrases from one of our coaches is your business grows to the extent that you grow, right? And we've noticed that the more that we have grown, our business grows even more. So at first we were just doing, okay, let's do courses or let's do like these low offers. We were focusing on the how-tos, right? Instead of like the whys behind it. Like, why is this thing working, and how can we replicate it across our business? And then that came that change of mindset between expense and investment, right? Cost and investment. And when we started investing in ourselves, that gave us, we were able to get closer to people that were very important, that were doing very important things in their life, in their businesses. And I mean, the power of growth just by proximity is absolutely amazing. So
Yeah.
I'll say that was step number 2. That's when the curve actually started growing a little more. But for me personally, after that, right, and you see how these people operate, how these people think, you're like, wow, like, look at the difference between how they are thinking and how we are thinking, right? Like, that is impressive. Like, how do they come up with these conclusions, right? How do they come up with these original thoughts? Like, why am I always focused maybe in this, like, why am I falling so much in these negative loops? And all these people are focusing more in solving problems. And you're like, okay. And you start changing your way of thinking. But when it finally took off for us was when we started publishing, right? And we've talked about this in some previous episodes in our show and all that. But we started with Facebook challenge. We just wanted to go live for 45 days in a row. At first, we wanted to be everywhere, right? Like, oh, we want to be like Gary Vee. How many entrepreneurs would like to be like Gary Vee and have content everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And we were the exact same, but we realized that we didn't have the capacity to do that. So we're like, okay, let's start with 45 days live on Facebook. And what happened was amazing, because when you try to put your thoughts into words, for me personally, that had so much, like, it helped me grow in so many ways, because you start thinking, you start challenging your own thoughts, which, you're probably not used to doing when you're just living inside of your head. And besides that, you start putting yourself in front of the camera, in front of the world. So you start training your body to take action regardless of fear, right? Which is huge as well. Because I'm not gonna lie, like, we live in constant fear of being judged, right? Fear of putting ourselves out there, fear of taking certain actions and failing. And publishing, it doesn't take it away, don't get me wrong, but it teaches you to move forward regardless, which for us, especially me, I don't know about you, Daniel, but for me personally, that has been huge, right? And I have noticed the change in my personal life. Like, I go out and build new relationships, make new friends, and talk to them, and I can see the change in the conversations that I'm having with other people, and it's honestly, like, way more enjoyable as well. So I think there's a lot of pros that have come with this journey.
many.
Oh, there's so many different places I could take this conversation, because I mean, just in that your answer there, there's so much gold like there, and I would love to just dive into each individual thing you said. But I'm really interested in the publishing side of things, and it's obviously what you guys are, known for, experts in. And I find you've obviously spent like the last 4 years learning the best strategies from and techniques from all of the, from the events that you've been to, the people that you've met, the people you've interviewed, and just the courses and things that you spoke about. And your podcast is called, obviously, Content is Profit. So how do you go about getting business from your publishing and your content, as opposed to just, and I want to maybe tailor this to kind of when you just first started as well.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people listening to this might be at a point in their business where they don't really have an audience, and they're maybe being told by people like me and you, you should be publishing, you should be creating content.
Yeah.
But when they create the content, it maybe falls on deaf ears. Like, people aren't, nobody pays attention because no one knows who they are. So my question is, how did you create content that gets you and generates you business, as opposed to just creating content and nobody really seeing it?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Really good question.
Let me, I want to take that first.
And do it.
So the story with us was, we went from try to do social media marketing, and we would go to restaurants, knock on the door, right? It's like, and you
should have seen Fonzie. He was actually wearing a suit and a tie.
Literally, like that has been happening.
We've all been there.
Yeah, and it was rough, and I didn't enjoy it as much.
Yeah.
And I would always see all these influencers, right? Gary Vee, Lewis House, everybody on social media. And I was like, I know I have to do that. I know I have to do it. I spent 3 years knowing I had to do that without doing it, right? And it got to a point where I was like, okay, like I just need to put myself out there, simplify it, right? And that's when we came up with this 45 live idea. It was actually after a fitness challenge that we did. And we're like, super simple. Like we do have 5 minutes a day. Like if you check your phone right now and you check how much time you spend on your phone every single day, you spend hours.
Yeah.
And if you can, scrape a little bit of those hours and put it into creating a live piece of content, that's going to change literally your business.
I want to add a little layer there because, with the agency, right, we were going to these businesses and we were pitching them on our products and we were like meeting with them, right? And it wasn't until one meeting that this client sits down and he's like, hey guys, what you do is amazing. What your clients are achieving is really good. But we started digging into your own things and you guys have nothing. And we're like, and around that time, there was no consistent publishing on our end in any of our accounts because we were executing. So kind of like white label kind of deal, right? But that meeting, wow, it really hit us because the rapport that we were able to build with them over like weeks of chats and talks and meetings and, to close this deal went immediately down to the floor, crashed terribly. And then nothing happened because of that one thing. So we came back and we're like, wow, like this is impactful. And we have to come up with a solution to create something consistent. Nothing else matters. It has to be consistent. And that's when, we saw coming out of this fitness challenge of 75 days, going 2 workouts a day. We're like, how can we do something like that on publishing?
Yeah. So that's when we created 45 Live, right? And at that point it was, okay, like what is the capacity? And we decided, you know what, like a lot of people talk about the quality, like it has to look awesome and amazing. And we're like, yes, that's probably a plus. But at first we need to have quality of the message, right? Like you can have the best quality video, but if the message is not there, people are not going to buy it, right? But you can have the best message. And I'm sure everybody has been victim of this. I'm sure you've seen somebody with their phone filming a live video in their living room in their pajamas, and you're like, wow, like that resonates with me, what they're saying, right? So we decided to go quality of the message over quality of the production, right? So to get into the side of how did we start, profiting, because we didn't have an audience at that point. Our relationships were businesses that we would knock on their door here in Jacksonville, mostly local people. So we just started putting our content out there and practicing our message, right? And we started getting some comments, some likes, people interacting a little bit here and there. And what happened is we took that as, okay, like you are allowing us to interact with you. So you do need to be proactive. Like you're not going to sit there, talk to the camera, and then millions of dollars are going to fall into your lap, because that's not how it works. I mean, I wish it worked like that, right? Who wouldn't? But it is not that way. So we need to be a little proactive. So we started creating conversations with people that would interact with us, whether that was just a hi in the comments or a like. We would go to their profile and we would tell them that, hey, thank you so much for tuning in. What was the part that connected with you? What did you enjoy about the video, right? We were trying to nail down that message that we have, right? And to the part that you said, some people don't have an audience. First of all, we don't really know who's watching that video on the other side, right? We call them the silent watchers. Like there's people that are watching all your videos consistently day after day after day, and they never make a comment or like it, but they're always watching, right? And the best story for that is that
I mean, it's what I'm gonna tell
now. You can do it.
Thank you. Okay.
Throw the ball at him.
Yeah. Okay. caught the ball. Okay. So I want to add to that, right? Because maybe a lot of people are like, okay, where do I do these videos, right? Because there's a ton of stuff out there. And what we sat down, we had the same questions, like, okay, where do we publish? Like, how can we achieve consistency right away? For us, that meant Facebook Live, because we identified different factors that cause friction to not publish. So for us, those factors were, I need to edit a video. I don't really want to edit a video, or I don't have the time to edit a video, so I don't want to edit. Okay, perfect. Remove that friction point, right? The audio, whatever. So at the end of the day, when we identify those friction points, and I want everybody on the audience to kind of reflect on what are those things that prevent them from publishing, right? If editing, is it the audio, is it wearing makeup, is it wearing a nice t-shirt, like those elements that you're like, if I don't do it, then I don't publish. remove all of those.
Yeah.
What is the type of publishing that you can do without friction? So for us, that was Facebook Live,
which was our minimum viable content.
which was our minimal viable content. So our minimal viable content turned out to be Facebook Live every single day for less than 10 minutes because most of our crowd was also on LinkedIn. So if I want to repurpose, all I did was download that video and put it on LinkedIn for less than 10 minutes. So that became our framework to publish consistently for a while. We're like, let's stick to this for 45 days. Now, guess what? Around day 15, that's the story I'm about to tell. It's like, okay, who's watching, right? So we started, where do we publish? On our Facebook page or our personal page? Well, right now, our Facebook page at that point had 0 people like following, nothing, 0 audience. So we're like, okay, we're going to have to publish on our personal page because that's where we have the connections. And people tend to forget that social media is social, right? It's about relationships. It's about developing those relationships either for friendships or for business, whatever that is. But there has to be some kind of interaction. So we're like, perfect, let's do it on our personal profiles. So I remember very vividly around day 15, I come in, my baby was about 4 months old, right? My wife is like, oh my God, you need to give him the bottle, right? About midnight when he wakes up. So I come from the office. We had this big argument with one of our clients because we created this piece of content that was very polarizing, right? It was something that they said, but we published it, right? And it created a lot of traction inside of like the network with people in favor of the idea, with people against the idea. It went like semi-viral inside of like their little community. And we're receiving calls from this guy, the GM, saying, put it down. Like, I want it out of the accounts. And we're like, absolutely not. This is wonderful. Like, your fans are defending your studios. This is amazing.
You're getting so much free exposure right here. Why do you want to take it down? You know?
Exactly. So, you know, at the end of the day, he didn't agree with us. We never took it down. We're like, you know, F this, it's staying up. And I just came home around 11 at night, very like worked up because of that argument. And I just sit down and I'm like, okay, I gotta grab the baby and put the bottle. And then I'm like, shoot, I still haven't done my Facebook Live today. Oh, holy crap. Okay. So put the baby back to bed and sit down in this chair. Before that, it was always either on the office or on the car. It was never at my home. And I'm like, okay, let's go do it. I have like 30 minutes. What do I talk about? Okay, let me tell the story about the polarizing message and blah, 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 right? So I sit down in the chair, grab my phone, super tired, red eye, and I start telling the story. So I tell it in less than 10 minutes. I grab that video really quickly and just publish it on LinkedIn real quick from my phone, right? It took me maybe like 15 minutes to do, right? And the next day, actually, no, like later that night, around midnight, somebody, he's
a silent watcher
who's never ever interacted with us. I met him once because of an event that you know we coordinated, but that's it. And then he's like, dude, Luis, this is amazing. I love what you guys are doing. I want to invite you to a content dinner. And I'm like, what's a content dinner? I'm like, okay, well, tomorrow night I'm bringing some business owners from town to my house. We're gonna sit down. We're gonna chat about whatever you guys do. We're gonna record it, and then you guys can take that content and, you know, do whatever you want with them. I'm like, absolutely. Oh man, a chance to share my story. Let's go. So I go to this guy's house. We sit down, other 6 business owners. We start chatting, and I explain what I do with our business, with our agency. After the dinner, the host came back to us and he's like, guys, I need you. I need what you do because I'm working on this big contract with this real estate company, and I need a team that do exactly what you guys do. And I'm like, absolutely, let's talk. Well, that turned into an $80,000 contract that still to this day we execute on them about 9-10 months in with them, and it's been a wonderful relationship. And then and that experience also sprung other type of relationships that we were able to capitalize on the back end. So it's all about those relationships. You never know who's watching, and never ever forget to leave a call to action. So our framework, very simple framework for the 45 Live was, we will share a story of what was happening that day with the company, what we were doing, something funny that happened. And then at the end, we will always relate it to what we did and let them know, hey, here's how you can contact me, right? We got to let people know how to do it. And then that was the thing that actually changed and like started to like multiply these amazing relationships and successes, and then connecting it with profit. So after that, we actually had to stop the Facebook Lives for the first round, because we were busy fulfilling, right? And we came back to the same story. And then a few months later, we did season 2, which Fonzie did the same thing. Around day 15 tends to happen again.
Yep.
More business came in our way. My Facebook lives were all about midnight because that was the time that, you know, we were coming back home and walking the dogs. And then that turned into the show later on. So
yeah, and just so you guys know, like it hasn't only happened to us, you know, like we love sharing this 45
Yes.
live story because
Absolutely.
first, obviously, like we saw the results in us and we're like, dude, like
Wow.
this must work for other people as well, right? And we started sharing the story, and we have people that have done it and they've got results too, right? Like we have this one guy in one of the communities that we are part of, and he got like 3 clients as well halfway through the challenge.
Amazing.
This lady from Germany, she's like, hey, I don't really know what to offer, what to do, right? And my brother was like, hey, why don't you do a 45 live and start the conversation with people to see what they want, right? Because that's the other thing, like it allows you to build this start these conversations that can guide you to create the product that they actually want instead of creating something and then it's like, oh, that's not really what they want, right? And she ended up getting like starting a group with like 10 people in it that they were all interested in her services.
I'm paid. And it was funny because now the expert on her field, she was like a coach. Experts on her field were like going after her because like you cannot talk about this in public, like in Facebook lives. And I'm like, and she reached out, like, guys, what do I do? I'm like, keep publishing.
Yeah,
this is exactly what you need.
Yeah, you're just educating the people, you know.
Exactly.
And it paid off.
It paid off. So like that, there's many stories. But that's why we recommend everybody to kind of dive into that side of publishing. It's very simple, no friction. You test your message, you communicate with people, you build relationships. So it really is a win-win-win-win-win, etc. Win-win, you know, relationship or, you know, situation.
Yeah, I want to add to that because there's 2 things that really resonate with me there, and I think this is a super practical part of this. So anybody that's listening, I think, like, take what they've just said and do it, because I mean I can totally resonate. For me, when I got this office space, I knew that like just part of my being is that I feel friction sometimes when it comes to like creating video. You know, at the time it was YouTube, and so I was like, right, how can I reduce as much friction as like physically possible? So what I did was, right, rather than, you know, one of the things as an example is I hated taking out the memory card, finding the adapter for my Mac, putting them, you know, and then doing all that stuff. It just took time. I just didn't like it. So get a wire from my camera into the MacBook. Get bookshelves on the back so I don't worry about what my, you know, setting looks like, etc. So like just trying to remove all friction from like that content creation process. And then another part to what you said is actually for me, I think 4 or 5 years ago, I can't remember exactly. If you go onto my YouTube channel and go to like my oldest video, you'll see how long ago this was. But I, you know, knew, let's say 4 years ago, that I had to start creating videos, just like looking at all the influencers in the space and like how people bought, and everything was pointing towards, you know, create video, create video, create video.
Yeah.
And I wanted to, but I was so scared. And essentially the story goes, you know, I created my first ever video, just got over myself. I did it. I realized nobody watched it. Nobody cared because it was so bad. And so I was like, I need to get better at this thing. And then I started 100 vlogs in 100 days challenge, where I picked up my phone every day, filmed for like 2 minutes, published it. And what was really interesting during those times was kind of similar to what you said, was I got like no engagement. I was getting like 30, 40 views maybe a week per video. But when I met people, they were saying things like, I feel like I know you. Like I've been watching all your videos and I feel like I know you. And I was like, oh my God, like these people are starting to trust me, which is what, you know, business is all about.
Yes.
And I thought that it was a total failure because no one was liking or engaging with my stuff. So I want to like give people, before we jump into a little fun game, I want to just like summarize what we've just spoken about there on the 45 Live. And so everybody that's listening can have something actionable that they can take away and go and do. So if, you know, people are listening to this, they're like, right, I'm interested in, you know, I want to create video or I want to create some form of content, long form content. I'm interested in this 45 Live. What would you say to that person to like get started? Like, do they pick up their phone? Do they upload it to Facebook? Do they upload it to LinkedIn? Do they upload it to Instagram? What would be like your your words of wisdom for telling these people to go and do this thing?
Yeah. So personally, make a list of all the things that cause friction when you're going to create content, right? Whether that is your 45 Live might be writing an email. If you're a copywriter and you have a list of people, that follows you, because a lot of times we might already have a customer base and we're not using it already, right? So you got to determine first, okay, where am I going to do my challenge, where I know I can be consistent every single day. And then ask yourself, what is my capacity, right? Okay, how much time do I have? And what is causing me friction? Is my office causing me friction? Okay, I'm going to go then to a coffee shop and sit down and write it in there, right? Or, if it is video, the editing, for example, for us, it was huge. I mean, we attempted to start a podcast over a year and a half ago. We recorded 5 episodes. Those are not out because we never edit them, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we do the podcast live now. So make that list. What is causing you friction? And then throw that away and do the minimum viable content, how that looks for you, right? For us, that meant going live on Facebook.
Yeah.
After we were consistent going live on Facebook, we decided to add another Lego piece, which for us was, I'm just going to download the video and put it on LinkedIn, which takes like 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So it was, again, capacity. So figure out your capacity, figure out the things that are causing friction, and then do the minimal viable content.
Yeah. I think a very important piece here is make sure that minimal viable content is exactly the same for a long time. Be at peace that you don't have to do something different every single day, right? So if that means 5 minutes, do your 5 minutes, right? It's like playing any sport, right? When you start playing football, or soccer for American fans, right? When you start learning how to pass the ball, that's all you do. You pass the ball against the wall 1,000 times. It's the same thing. We're building a habit here, right? And this is the foundation of staying consistent. So, very simple framework to get started. If you guys want to do it on video or even in writing, that works too. Tell a story of what happened to you that day. And then after that story, just share it with your people, and then include your business, or include, if that's your objective, right? We do agree, and we highly recommend that there's always a call to action to your business if you want to monetize your content, but it's very, very simple. It's like, tell a story, share it with your people, with your audience, with your friends, right? And then plug in your business at the end, be like, hey guys, if you're interested, this is what I do. Come reach out to me. You can slide into DMs, you can call me, you can do whatever, right? And then publish that, and do that consistently for 45 days. Yeah. You'll see that halfway through, you're going to master this thing. And then your head is going to start thinking, how can I add another little piece, that Lego piece from that foundation? So then the next piece might be, well, I noticed that I'm speaking more than 5 minutes. Well, let's make my framework 10 minutes, right? It was funny because one of the people that we help, right, he's now a coach. He now has his coaching program. He has a show now. But when he first started, he had no idea what he wanted to talk about. And we're like, dude, just tell a story your first week for less than 10 minutes and share it with the world. Guess what? After that first week, he's like, dude, I keep talking about this topic, this topic, this topic. Sweet. That's exactly what you're good at. Okay. Let's repeat those topics. Now you can develop on those. So he now has his pillar content, right? That everybody talks about the pillar content and how to figure out through publishing, right? So after that, the second week, he came back and he's like, guys, after 14 days of publishing, well, I noticed that I talked for about 30 minutes. Is that okay? I'm like, is that okay for you? Like, does that cause friction? And he's like, no friction at all. I actually enjoy it. Perfect. Keep doing it. And then he goes like, I found out that my audience, like the people I'm talking to, have these issues, and I have the solution for it. Sweet. Now turn around and offer it as a solution. Now you have a product. And he actually built that product, and he actually sold that product, right? Yeah. Wow, what a wonderful thing. So the first thing is like remove all the friction, like Fonzie said. Create your little framework. What is it? How are you going to stay consistent for 45 days? Is it 5 minutes? This goes hand in hand with your capacity, your time, your resources that you have in hand. If you don't have a camera, don't worry. Everybody has a very nice iPhone or phone that has a really cool camera that you can just turn around and start recording.
Just so you guys know, we did the first 77 episodes of our podcast with the MacBook webcam, which is terrible. We
Oh,
looked like
horrible.
like Minecraft characters in here. It was a bunch of squares all over the place, right? You couldn't tell which
Yeah.
Luis was which one.
Yeah.
But again, like you build that muscle, that consistency, right? That habit that my brother is talking about. And besides the tactical aspect that we just talked about, I just want kind of like a little warning, because we tend to compare ourselves to others. We see these other people that have been doing it for 100 days, and they're like, how is he so good? And I'm not that good, right? Don't fall into that, right? Like you're gonna get better the more you do it. So celebrate your wins. Like once you do day one, celebrate it. Be like, good job. Like I did a great job, right? And something that I personally use a lot is when I'm super open when I do my lives and I mess up. I'm like, wow, that was a rough one. So right there on live, people actually like to see that.
Yeah.
It is relatable. Nobody likes to just see a robot in front of the camera talking. So be relatable. If you make a mistake, accept it in front of people. And we actually started the first live. He's like, hey guys, we're gonna do this challenge. Like it's our first time, and we're gonna see how it goes. You're being completely open. Guess what? People that saw you day one and now they're seeing you on day 100, they're gonna be ultra inspired, because they're gonna be like, wow, look at that progress, right?
Yeah.
Where can I be if I start today as well? So keep that, that long-term mentality on where am I gonna be if I do this consistently in 45 days, and celebrate the little wins day by day.
Yeah, I love that, because I remember watching one of your podcasts live, and you started doing the introduction, and both of you just started like peeing yourself laughing.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
laughing. And I had no idea what you were laughing at or about, but you were laughing, and I was like, this is just brilliant. Like, I want to see that. That's what people want to see.
Yeah. And yesterday I completely messed it
Oh,
up. It
yeah.
was episode 77, and Fonzie here is the mastermind behind the amazing intros that people tend to like. But he's like, "Do you read it?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." And there's a question there, and I remember reading the question. I'm like, "Why is that question there?" I just gotta be aware that the question is there. And we're going live. This guest is like behind camera. It's like, this is amazing. And I'm going, and I read it once, not a question, and then I read it twice, not a question again. I'm like, oh, and then he took over, and I'm like, Luisa, you messed up, whatever, I'm gonna take over, and that's it, right? And it's all about enjoying and making an experience. The guest didn't care, like he was just cracking up too. He loved it. And we understand there's certain situations, right, if we're working with different clients and different things, that yes, absolutely. But when it comes to your publishing and removing that friction, that perfection, that search for perfection is just going to add a ton of friction, a ton of pressure. So for you to execute, remove it, be okay with it, make fun of it, like be like, it's okay, guys, let's do this again, and go again, right?
And at the end of the day, you want to work with people that like you for who you are. Absolutely. And if you are portraying someone that you're not in your content, you're going to attract people that probably, might enjoy working with. So be yourself. Embrace mistakes. What was it? We just talked to someone recently that they didn't call it mistakes, they call it samples, right? Samples to get better every single time. So just embrace those.
Amazing. Speaking of fun, guys, it's time to play a game.
Let's do it.
For the game round, it's like the Highland Games, but on a podcast.
Baby.
I will never get old of jingles.
Oh, love it.
I love the jingle. The game is simple. Have you ever heard of the 5-second rule before?
With the food, absolutely.
You have to throw food on the floor. No, I'm only kidding. So, like I say, the rules are simple. I've got 10 different questions or statements that I'm going to read out, and those statements might be something like, name 3 types of ice cream. You then have 5 seconds to name those things.
So it's 2 of us. So do we go in order? Or is it one question each?
So I'm going to let you guys do it how you want to do it. Whether you've got 10 questions, you might want to take turns, or you might want to, couple together, be a team.
I've heard through the grapevine that older brothers always go first. So you got it.
Oh, me? Okay. Throw me under the bus. Okay. It happens every day.
So Luis, you're first, then we'll go Fonzie. Yep. Let's see who wins. This can be a little brotherly competition.
Okay, let's go. Okay.
So I need to get my timer up first and foremost, and then we're ready to.
Is he going to go first and answer all the questions?
No.
One and one.
And these things are totally random, and that's the whole fun of this.
All right.
You ready, Luis?
So ready.
Name 3 types of fruit.
apple, tangerine, and pineapple.
Nice. So there you go. You got the point. Fonzie,
Oh,
name 3 types of vegetable.
Oh, spinach, kale, and cucumber.
Oh, just in time. 1-1.
Ooh,
Uh,
man,
Lewis,
almost.
Name 3 animals that live in the ocean.
Shark, whale, and fish.
Nice.
That fish is an animal, right? Yeah.
I guess.
Do I have to be specific?
I don't know. I'll
Tuna.
leave that to the judge.
I'll be the judge. I'm going to give you that. I'm going to give you it.
Yes.
Fonzie, name 3 animals that have 4 legs.
Dogs, horses, and well, zebra. I don't know why that was so difficult. There's so many, I couldn't say cat. Like we were talking about, you're kidding before the show.
Lewis, name 3 types of dessert.
Chocolate pie, chocolate ice cream, and mousse.
Oh, just in time. Loving your chocolate today. Fonzie,
Chocolate.
name 3 things you can put on a pizza.
Pineapple, anchovies, and pepperoni.
Should never ever put pineapple on a pizza.
Of course you can. Yeah. Delicious. We're here to cause some controversy, guys.
Yeah, polarizing. Lewis, name 3 clothes you wear during the winter.
Jacket, beanie, and boots.
Nice.
Yes.
Fonzie, name 3 types of food that you personally like.
Sushi, pizza, and I
Time
always
out.
do the same thing.
Time, baby.
Wow.
You see, that's the thing. I literally always eat the same thing. So that's a tough question for me, man. Oh, I
Wow.
couldn't go with tacos. Who doesn't like tacos? Dang it. Pressure.
Okay,
Pressure got me.
Lewis, you got to get this one.
do
Name 3 foods that you personally do not like.
Broccoli. Ah, I like everything.
Oh my God! Time.
Food,
So the
food is a tough
Food
topic.
is delicious, man. Everything is good except broccoli.
So what are we on? We're on 4-4, I believe.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So now we're on the tie break.
Let's go.
Who's it? Is it Fonzie or Lewis?
Yeah,
Fonzie.
it's my turn.
Fancy time.
Name 3 rooms.
Oh, wait. So if I get this right, I win.
No, 'cause
Actually,
you went second.
no, because you started. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I go second.
But you missed
Yep.
one. I missed one.
Wait,
So-
Exactly.
This is the 10th question.
Oh, no, you're right. All right, cool.
It's always.
So name 3 rooms in a house.
Oh, living room, bedroom, and the kitchen.
You've not got it. You've
Yeah.
not got it.
No!
Just out of time.
Oh, why did I doubt it? We were talking about food, kitchen. Oh, man. The pressure.
Oh wow. So does Lewis need to get this, or is Lewis won?
No, I need to get it to win.
I'm getting confused now because we got
No,
Right.
actually, he won because he only
Oh,
got
yeah?
one bad one.
Oh,
and
that's
I,
right.
and
That
I
was the
got 2
last
bad
one.
ones because I
Oh
won.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
Let's
Right.
Oh.
There we go. Well
Bing.
played, Lewis. Lewis, Fonzie might have been the better footballer, but
Hey, man. Let's go.
Oh, that was tough,
That was
guys.
fun. That was
Hey,
fun.
pressure gets you. You start getting the sweaty armpits in here. It's like, oh, that.
I know. Lower your arms.
well, now it's time for the rapid fire round to finish off the show. Jingle time.
Time for the rapid fire round. 10 questions, 10 answers, no context. Are you ready?
You ready, guys? The rules are simple. I'm going to ask 10 questions. You have to give me an answer with no context. And what we'll do here is if you can just both give me your answer at the same time.
Oh, okay.
At the same time.
Well, not at the same time, but
Okay.
I'll ask a question. You both give me your answer.
Okay. Sweet. Say. Okay.
No context allowed. Favorite book?
Barking up the wrong tree.
Dog. Living with the monks.
I never heard of either. I'm gonna have to question about that. Favorite word?
Money.
Fun.
Nice. Your most hated food?
Broccoli.
None.
None. You guys like your food.
Or
Your
at least none that I have tried.
Yeah.
biggest pet peeve, either business or personal?
Negativity.
My wife shaking the leg all the time.
I love it. I want context, but I can't ask. What was your dream job as a kid?
Sorry, can you repeat the question again?
What was your dream job as a child?
Oh, math teacher.
Professional soccer player.
Before being a professional soccer player, it was being a math teacher like my mom.
Wow. Okay, cool. Favorite music genre?
Oh, man, I love everything, honestly.
Anything techno, baby. Let's
But
go.
no, I'm gonna
Punky,
go with
punky.
like tropical music, you know, and some like Spanish ballads. Yeah, Melendi's good.
Oh,
Nice. What's your drink of choice?
Coffee.
water.
Water and coffee. Nice. Are you morning or night person?
Can you be both?
Lately, night person.
Yeah, I'm gonna say both.
Okay, a serious one. Would you rather cuddle a baby panda or a baby penguin?
Baby panda.
Baby panda.
Nice. And what is one final parting piece of advice that you want to give the listeners to the show?
Take action.
Start publishing. Let's go.
Start publishing, take action. Amazing, guys! What a show! I mean, what I've been doing. I've been taking notes throughout the show, and I've got a ton of notes here. And I just think like some of the things you spoke about, publishing, creating over consuming, quality of message over quality of production, create conversations in the comments. These are tiny little tactical things that lead into the bigger strategy of everything that we've spoken about today. And I think that there's some enormous amounts of value that people listening are just going to absolutely love. Thank you so much, both, for coming here.
Thank you for having us. It was fun. So much fun.
My pleasure. My absolute pleasure. Please let everybody know where they can find you, where they can listen to you, and all of those fun things.
Yeah, the best way to find us and connect with us is on the show, Content is Profit. We actually do the behind the scenes live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday in our Facebook page at BizBrosCo. And then you can find the audio recordings in your favorite podcast platform. Just search Content is Profit. BizBros will be there.
Yeah. And we love having conversations. So guys, if you have any questions about anything that we talked about today, go to Instagram or Facebook and send us a message. Is at BizBrosCo everywhere.
Yeah, and please go and do that, folks, because like I said at the beginning, these two gentlemen were the ones that, when I was looking at how can I relaunch the podcast and try create something, fun and special, these were the two guys that I was looking at. So go and check out their show. It's something awesome.
Thank you, Gavin.
Yeah, my pleasure. And if you're feeling extra kind, folks, love it if you could head over to Apple Podcasts and hit a little subscribe button and hit that little, review, leave a 5-star review, or you can do that on any of your favorite podcasting platforms. And finally, if you're ready to take your marketing and your advertising to the next level, be sure to head over to myfunnelacademy.com and check out the 5-day challenge that we are running starting the 7th of September. Once again, guys, thanks so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having us.
Awesome. Podcast is done. We are still live. I'm just taking a look at some of the comments that are coming in. Kennedy from Rob and Kennedy says 3 of my favorite people.
Let's go, Kennedy.
So awesome.
By the way, Kennedy, your hair looks amazing, man. I'm glad that you finally were able to do that.
Hair rocks. We had a muscular arm from my brother, which is very cool.
We do not have muscular arms, so we're gonna have to go hit the gym.
Yeah, the gym really is getting bad. And Edward said these are all excellent ideas. Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you. We want to see you take on the challenge, Edward.
I genuinely want to see a lot of people go and do that 45 live. And I'm actually thinking myself that I might do it because although I publish quite a lot, one of the things that I'm trying to get better at is storytelling. And I feel like the 45 live would be a perfect way to force myself to think of a story and tell that story.
Yeah, absolutely. I got the book that you were reading about storytelling the other day. Storyworthy, it's called, I think. So I haven't started it yet. I got it, but I'm ready to dive in.
Such a good book. If you take one thing from that book, or one thing that I've taken from that book, is you get the framework on like how to structure a story. But the one thing that I've started to do as like a habit in my life now is what he calls homework for life, which is every single day you have to think of, if you were to tell a story from that day, what would it be? And just write like a bullet point. So for example, my football started on Monday night again for the first time in like 6 months. And so my story was football started again. Everybody's fat. We're all unfit. It's a story from that day. So yeah, it's a fun little idea.
I love it. I love it.
That is really cool.
Yeah,
Actually,
we've also taken like the since now we have the show, right? The 45 live kind of like took the backseat, I guess. And we haven't done like season 3 yet. At some point we'll do it again, but every time that we're like feeling down on energy, like now publishing is been a tool to like revamp that energy.
Ooh.
So basically we just like go Facebook Live. It's like, okay, what's the story I'm telling today? So going back to that simple framework, and then we go in because we actually have to like be energized in front of this camera, right? And then we go publish. You create your piece of content, people relate to you, and then on the back end, my win is that I elevated my energy level, and now I can continue to go execute.
It's like a trigger, actually.
Yes.
You know, like once we go in front of the camera, like I mean, I feel we're pretty high energy on our day-to-day too. Like if you see your office, like the 2 offices right next to us, they have nobody because people that come in here, they're like, these guys are too loud, and they leave because we're like screaming and jumping. It's like, oh, let's go. But it's like a trigger. As soon as like we turn it on, like we go super active mode. So what my brother said too, you know, like sometimes it's a good way to change your mood.
Yeah, absolutely. Use it as a tool for yourself.
Yeah.
Guys, everybody that's watching live, everyone that's watching on the replay, thank you so much for being here. Like I say, drop a comment. Let us know you're watching, if you're watching live or the replay. And like we said on the show, be sure to go and check out Lewis and Lewis at BizBros and contentisprofit.com.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
See you all